Like, I'm not poly, but like, even just when everybody heard that like me and my husband had threesomes before, it was like, oh, she's willing to do that to keep a man. I'm like,
nah.
That was all me. That was all me. Like, but I hate the idea of people thinking like it's always the guy that wants this, that. So she introduced you to the poly life. It's like me introducing that, you know what I'm saying, to my husband, and it's just like, yo, this is what
It all started on a quiet Sunday evening. The kind of night where everything feels too still, too silent. Like the universe is holding its breath before something big erupts. And in the middle of that stillness sat Pierre alone in his dimly lit apartment. The only glow in the room coming from his phone that kept lighting up every few seconds with fresh notifications. Each one carrying the same name, the same face, the same unstoppable energy. Teyana Taylor, her new video, her comeback performance, her interviews, her photos, her teasers everywhere he looked. There she was. Not just trending, but dominating. Not just returning, but roaring back onto the scene like she had been forged in fire. And what looked to the world like a monumental artistic comeback felt to Aaron like a storm heading straight for the walls he had built around himself. He had spent months pretending he didn't care, acting like the breakup hadn't shaken him, like losing Teyana wasn't the biggest mistake of his life. But tonight something shifted as he watched her on screen. Radiant, commanding, effortlessly powerful. It hit him with a force he wasn't prepared for. He had lost her for good. And this time it wasn't because of the media or the rumors or the pressures of the industry, it was because of him. Their breakup had already become one of Hollywood's messiest, loudest and most dissected stories of the year, beginning as a quiet separation between two rising stars and spiraling into a public circus of cryptic posts, shady subtweets, clipped interview moments, and accusations swirling from all sides. Aaron's camp pushed the narrative that he was the calm, rational one focused on work, uninterested in drama, while Teyana was painted by tabloids as emotional, reactive, too intense, too much. But behind those labels was a pain people didn't understand, a heartbreak that couldn't be wrapped in a headline or condensed into a 30-second clip. When the news first broke, Aaron walked around as though nothing in his world had changed. He smiled for the cameras, handled red carpets with practiced ease, gave interviews about upcoming projects, and insisted he was doing fine. But those closest to him saw the cracks forming late night, staring at nothing. Cancelled plans, silences that stretched too long, and that hollow look in his eyes that said everything he refused to acknowledge. Meanwhile, Teyana vanished from public view, not a single post, no interviews, no public appearances, just silence. But that silence was loud in its own way. It was rebuilding, recalibrating, rising. Months passed without a trace of her. And then suddenly, one unforgettable night, she reappeared in the most explosive way possible. A surprise performance at an award show that immediately set the entire internet ablaze. The lights dropped, the music swelled, and out walked Teyana Taylor, looking like every ounce of heartbreak she had endured had been alchemized into raw power. The crowd started screaming before she even reached the center of the stage. And when she finally opened her mouth to sing, her voice carried a depth of emotion that could break hearts and rebuild them in the same breath. Her lyrics weren't just music, they were messages, pointed, deliberate, devastating. You thought breaking me made you strong, she sang in a trembling, soaring register. But I was just learning how to fly. And the audience collectively gasped because everyone knew who she was talking about. Even Aaron knew. And as he sat on his couch, watching her command the stage with a fire he had taken for granted, something tightened in his chest. Something that wasn't anger or jealousy or ego, it was regret, real and crushing and overdue. For the first time, he understood that Teyana's silence hadn't been weakness. It had been preparation. Every tear she shed had turned into fuel for that moment. While he had tried to prove he didn't care, she proved she never needed his validation to begin with. The internet erupted that night. Hashtags about her comeback took over timelines within minutes. Fans dubbed her the phoenix of the industry. Rising from ashes, people thought would swallow her. And deep down, Aaron couldn't deny a bitter truth. She had won. But what hurt him wasn't that she succeeded, it was realizing he had spent so long misunderstanding her, mishandling her, underestimating her. He remembered the fights, the late-night arguments, the careless words he threw in frustration. He remembered telling her she was too much, when the truth was she was simply more than he was mature enough to handle. He remembered the way she used to look at him, eyes full of hope, effort, and love during the moments she tried to save their relationship. And he remembered how he brushed her off like her feelings were inconveniences instead of warnings. And they mattered. They mattered more than he ever wanted to admit. A few days after her triumphant performance, Aaron posted a cryptic Instagram story, a black screen with the words, "Growth takes pain." Fans assumed it was about his career, but those who truly followed him knew it was about her. Slowly, the man who had once dismissed everything Teyana represented began to unravel. He stopped posting. He stopped attending events. He dodged interviews. Something deep was shifting. Friends later revealed he had been replaying her songs, scrolling through old photos, watching fan edits of their sweetest moments. And according to one insider, he even drafted a long message apologizing to her, but never hit send, maybe because he knew it wouldn't change anything. Maybe because he wasn't ready to face what he had done. Meanwhile, Teyana was moving forward with grace and momentum. She released new music, secured major brand deals, and was frequently spotted laughing, glowing, and genuinely happy again. In a recent interview, when asked about Aaron, she didn't shade him or mention his name. She simply said, "I wish peace for everyone who once knew me," and that single sentence cut deeper than any insult could have. Not because it was cold, but because it signaled she was over him, over their story, and over the pain he caused. Then came the moment no one expected. Aaron finally broke his silence. During an interview meant to promote his new film, the host casually asked him what he had learned from past relationships, and the entire room watched him shift, his demeanor softening as he took a deep breath. "Sometimes you don't realize what you have until you've lost it," he said quietly. "I made mistakes. I was wrong about a lot of things, especially about her." The room froze. This wasn't rehearsed or manicured by Pierre, this was real. His voice cracked as he continued, "I thought strength was about control, but she taught me real strength is understanding. I didn't understand her when she needed me to, and I'll always regret that." The clip spread across the internet in seconds. Comments flooded, and some saying it's about time, others writing, "Too late, she's moved on." But the comment that went the most viral came from Teyana's fan account. Quoting her lyrics, "I don't need closure when peace is mine." That line became the unofficial slogan of the entire saga. She didn't need his apology anymore. Her growth, her success, and her peace spoke louder than anything he could say. And yet the moment still mattered, not because it reopened old wounds, but because it showed tangible growth on both sides. The same man who once mocked her emotions was now acknowledging her strength, and the same woman who once pleaded for understanding now stood tall in her confidence, her resilience, her evolution. A few days later, paparazzi spotted Aaron sitting alone in a cafe, headphones on, and a bystander claimed they heard Teyana's new track playing from his phone. Maybe coincidence, maybe confession. Teyana, meanwhile, posted a short studio clip with no caption. Just laughter and joy filling the room, but sharp-eyed fans noticed a phrase written on a whiteboard behind her. "No hard feelings, just higher ceilings." Instantly viral. It was taken as her subtle, classy response to Aaron's public apology, a reminder that her path forward wasn't driven by revenge, but by evolution. Weeks passed, the headlines cooled, but the story lived on as one of the most emotional arcs of the year, not because they reconciled, they didn't, but because they found closure separately. Aaron started speaking in interviews about accountability, emotional maturity, and how fame had once fed his arrogance. He encouraged men to communicate better, listen more, respect deeply. People noticed the shift. Meanwhile, Teyana's comeback only grew stronger. Her singles charted high, her visuals trended globally, and her new documentary earned praise for its vulnerability and unfiltered honesty. She glowed with a peace that couldn't be faked. Months later, they ended up at the same charity gala, their first time in the same room since the breakup. Cameras captured the quiet tension, but also something unexpectedly gentle. Aaron approached her, said something soft. She offered a polite smile, a small nod, then walked away. No drama, no scene, only closure. Social media replayed the clip endlessly, captioning it with imagined dialogues, but one fan summed it up perfectly. "He said sorry. She accepted." The end. That night Aaron posted, "You don't always get second chances, but you do get to grow." And the next morning Teyana posted a sunrise photo with the caption, Peace looks good on me. Their story messy, emotional, transformative became more than a celebrity headline. It became a testament to growth, to healing, to rediscovery after heartbreak. It reminded people that love doesn't always last, but the lessons often do. Aaron's regret wasn't about fame or image. It was about realizing too late what love required. And Teyana's power wasn't in proving him wrong, but in choosing herself and rising higher than the hurt ever could.